Good morning, students. Myself Vishal Pandey, and let us start today conservation of forest, wildlife, and conservation of wildlife. If you remember, I had already discussed the forest in India, the different types of forest, and what their distribution is on the basis of percentage. We have already discussed. To protect the forests that are still left in India, the government has declared many of the policies in which two categories are there. The first one is reserved and second one is protected forest. Now what happened in these forests? Let us discuss. In protected and reserved forest are owned by the government, and the government reserves the right to allow people to enter these forests and use its products. So ultimately you can understand by this statement that reserve forest and protected forest is under control of government will make sure that you are allowed to do hunting or to enter in the forest or not. The main difference between these two means reserved and protected. What is the difference between these two? That in protected forest is that in reserve forest rights to all activities like hunting and grazing are banned. So in reserve forest all the activities are banned unless specific orders are issued by the government, whereas in protected forest rights to all activities like hunting and grazing are allowed unless specific orders are issued. Thus, reserve forests enjoy greater protection than a protected forest. So now it is very much clear that we had two categories, and in those categories, reserve forest enjoys more protection than the protected forest. So in protected forest, everyone is allowed for hunting and all, but in reserve forest no one is allowed to go and do hunting or destroy the forest. So I hope you all are understanding what is reserve forest and what is protected forest. Now let us move to understand wildlife. Wildlife, as you saw, refers to all the non-domesticated animals found in an area. So basically where the non-domesticated animals are found, it is generally known as wildlife. It comprises all types of animals. If you talk about which type of animals are found in wildlife, we find mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds and insects. So now I don't have to tell you that what exactly mammals are, reptiles are, amphibians are, birds and insects are, because you all are very smart students. So I hope you all are understanding it. Wildlife is an important resource. Let us have certain points to understand wildlife. Animals maintain the ecological balance in nature. Because animals are very important, they maintain the balance, ecological balance in nature. Birds feed on worms and thus protect crops from such pests, because worms sometimes they destroy the field crop, so birds are there always to catch them and to eat them. Birds like vultures and crows feed on dead animals and thus they are called scavengers. So keep this in your mind. Who are scavengers? Those who likes to eat dead body of animals or flesh. Humans hunt wildlife for meat and hide. Why do humans hunt wild animals? For their meat. Okay, so there is a definite food chain in the ecosystem. Herbivore feed on producers, plants, and carnivore feed on herbivore, and omnivore feed on both the producers and consumers. So I need not to tell you what is herbivore, what is carnivore, and what is omnivore. You all understand that. When the omnivore and carnivore die, their remains get mixed into the earth and provide food to the plants. Thus the cycle is complete. It highlights the interdependent nature of life on earth. So interdependent nature of life on earth is basically depending on the flesh and the dead body of animals as well as plants when they get mixed into the soil. Thus, it is important to protect our wildlife to maintain the ecological balance on the earth. So, we need to protect the animals for to balance the ecological system. So, we no need to harm the animals, we have to keep them safe and sound. Now let us move towards the conservation of wildlife. Over the years, there has been a significant degradation and depletion of wildlife all over the world. Now what is meaning of degradation and depletion? Degradation means deterioration, or you can say decreasement of. अल्टीमेटली हम ये समझ सकते हैं कि जो वाइल्ड लाइफ है वो धीरे धीरे कम हो रहा है, ख़त्म हो रहा है. वाई? बिकॉज ऑफ ह्यूमन्स नीड. इट कैन बी changes in climatic conditions and human interference have caused the loss of natural habitats of animals. Because we are greedy, we want to make showrooms, malls. For that we used to cut the forest. अगर हम फॉरेस्ट कट करेंगे तो एनिमल्स विल डाई डेफिनेटली. Indiscriminate felling of trees, and because we are cutting down the trees, because we are killing down the animals for our enjoyment, इससे हमारा ecological balance बिगड़ जाता है. Because earlier you read that animals are important for ecological balance. In the forest has led to the migration of several species of animals. Because we are cutting down the trees, because we are clearing down the forest, that is the reason, because animals are doing migration from one place to another in search of food, in search of forest. वो एक प्लेस से दूसरे प्लेस पे जाते हैं, तो जिस प्लेस को वो छोड़ जाते हैं वहाँ का इकोलॉजिकल बैलेंस बिगड़ जाता है. Animals and birds like tiger, lion, elephant, deer, black buck, crocodile, rhinoceros, snow leopard, ostrich and peacock are poached for their hides. Now what is the meaning of poached? Means इतने animals का शिकार किया जाता है. People used to hunt for their fulfillment, for their private interest. People used to sell their skins, and not only skins but also nails, teeth, horns and feathers as well. So there is a thriving illegal market for these goods in various parts of the world today. दुनिया में अलग अलग जगह पे इनका मार्केट लगता है विच इज़ इलीगल. लोग वहाँ पे जाते हैं और इन चीज़ों को सेल करके अच्छी पैसे कमाते हैं. दैट इज़ वेरी ridiculous in that sense. As a result, many species have become vulnerable or endangered and some are on the verge of extinction. इसी की वजह से बहुत सारी जो स्पीसीज़ हैं, प्लांट्स की हों, एनिमल्स की हों, वो ख़त्म हो रही हैं, एक्सटिंक्शन के कगार पे हैं. एंड रिमेंबर वन थिंग, ऐसे एनिमल्स को हम रेड डाटा बुक में मेंशन करते हैं जो ख़त्म हो रहे हैं. सो दिस मच इज़ इनफ फॉर टुडे. आई होप you would like the video. Watch it as many times as you can. Okay, thank you so much.